They called her a diversity hire. Said she got into buds because the Navy needed good optics. Said the only thing impressive about Lieutenant Lena Thorne was the paperwork that pushed her through. She let them talk, let them assume, let them underestimate. That was the first lesson her father taught her. Let them think they know you, then show them they never did. The briefing room at Forward Operating Base Magdalena smelled like stale coffee and testosterone. 12 operators sat around a table scarred with coffee rings and knife marks. Maps of the Colombian jungle covered the walls. Satellite imagery showed cartel compounds deep in territories where governments feared to tread. Commander Brennan stood at the head of the table, 32 years old, decorated, confident in the way that men who've never truly failed often are. He was explaining the mission parameters when Lena walked in. The conversation died mid-sentence. She felt their eyes tracking her movement, calculating, judging, dismissing. She'd felt those eyes her entire career. At the academy, at Buds, at every posting where she'd had to prove herself, while men with half her scores got nodded through on a handshake and a legacy name. Lena took the empty seat at the far end of the table, set her tablet down, met Brennan's stare without blinking. "Lieutenant Thorne," Brennan said, her name heavy with skepticism. "Glad you could join us. Traffic was hell, sir." Her voice carried no apology. Someone snickered. Probably Morrison, the team comedian who thought sexism was just edgy humor. Brennan continued the briefing. Counter-narcotics operation. Training Colombian Special Forces. Standard advise and assist parameters. The kind of mission Spec Ops teams ran 100 times without incident. Except this wasn't that kind of mission. And Lena wasn't that kind of operator. The briefing dragged on. Terrain analysis, rules of engagement, supply lines. The mundane machinery of military planning. Lena listened with half her attention. The other half was counting exits, reading body language, cataloging which men in this room would have her back when things went sideways. And things always went sideways. Questions? Brennan looked around the room. Lena raised her hand. Brennan's jaw tightened. "Lieutenant, the intel package mentions Sentinel Dynamics operating in Sector 7. Private military contractor. What's their connection to the cartels?" The room went quiet again. Different kind of quiet this time. Brennan's eyes went flat. "That's outside mission parameters. With respect, sir, any armed group in our operational area is inside mission parameters. Sentinel Dynamics is a U.S.-aligned contractor providing security services to legitimate what?" Lena leaned forward. "The satellite imagery shows their compound has better security than our base. Hardened bunkers, overlapping fields of fire. That's not corporate security, that's fortress architecture." Morrison spoke up. "Maybe they've got something worth protecting, sweetheart." Lena turned her gaze on him. Gray eyes that her father always said could cut through bullshit at 1,000 yards. "Maybe they do. Question is what, and who they're protecting it from." Brennan slapped the table. "This conversation is over. Mission brief continues at 0600 tomorrow. Dismissed." The operators filed out. Lena stayed seated, pulling up satellite imagery on her tablet. She zoomed in on the Sentinel compound, counted guard towers, traced patrol patterns, memorized entrance points. She was so focused she didn't hear the door open again. "You always this much of a pain in the ass?" The voice was gravel and cigarettes, aged whiskey left too long in oak. Lena looked up. The man in the doorway was 65, still built like men from an era before gyms became temples. Broad shoulders that had carried weight, hands scarred from real work, eyes that had seen things they'd never speak about. He wore civilian clothes but stood with the posture of someone who'd spent decades in uniform. "Depends," Lena said. "You always this interested in junior officers?" The man walked closer, each step deliberate, measured. He moved like someone who'd learned to be quiet in places where noise meant death. He stopped 3 feet from her chair, looked down at her tablet, then at her face. Really looked, the way you look at something trying to place where you've seen it before. What's your father's name? His voice had gone softer, dangerous soft. Lena's hand moved toward her sidearm. Instinct, training, the reaction her father had drilled into her since she was old enough to hold a weapon. Easy, the man raised his hand slightly. I'm not a threat. Everyone's a threat until they prove otherwise. A smile ghosted across his face. Now that sounds like something Nathaniel would say. The name hit her like a rifle round to the chest. Nobody called him Nathaniel. Not in 20 years. Not since he died and become a ghost story she carried alone. Lena stood slowly, her hand still near her weapon. Who the hell are you? Callum McCready. He watched her face for recognition. Friends called me Mac. Your father called me the luckiest son of a bitch in Panama. The world tilted. Lena had spent 16 years searching for this name. 16 years following breadcrumbs through classified files and redacted mission reports. 16 years trying to find the one man her father trusted. The one man who'd been there. The one man who might still remember. Prove it, she said. Mac reached for his collar. Lena's hand moved to her weapon grip. Easy, he said again. He pulled his shirt aside, just enough to show the scar. Old, puckered, the kind of wound that should have killed. Your father pulled me out of a kill box with this. November 12th, 1983, Panama. I was bleeding out in a jungle while 9 of our brothers died. He carried me 12 kilometers to the extraction point. 3 bullets in him, and he still wouldn't leave me. Lena's throat went tight. She'd heard the story, read it in her father's journal, but hearing it from someone who'd lived it, who'd bled through it, was different. You were 24, she said, fresh out of buds, 3rd deployment. You got hit in the first 30 seconds of contact. Mac's eyes widened. How do you? Lena pulled her shirt up, just high enough to show the tattoo sprawled across her ribs. The modified SEAL trident that only 17 men in history were authorized to wear. The design her father had inked into his skin in 1984. 13 were confirmed dead. 3 lived under witness protection with new identities. And 1, her father, had faked his death and kept hunting. Mac's face went pale. He gripped the back of a chair. For a moment, he looked like he might sit down or fall down, the line between the two uncertain. Jesus Christ, his voice cracked. Nathaniel had a daughter. He had me. I didn't know. Nobody knew. He never mentioned family, never talked about home. We all figured he was alone in the world. He was alone, Lena said. After my mother died when I was 4, after he faked his death and disappeared, after everyone who might have helped him was either dead or compromised, he was alone except for me. Mac lowered himself into a chair. He looked older suddenly, the weight of decades pressing down on shoulders that had carried enough. Faked his death. Mac repeated the words like he was trying to make them make sense. Nathaniel died in '84. Manila. Compromised operation. That was the report. The report was a lie. Lena sat down across from him. My father survived Manila. He survived because he staged the whole thing, set up a body, walked away from his life, his career, everything. He needed to disappear to go after the man who sold you out in Panama. Admiral Kessler. Mac's voice went hard. You knew? I suspected, never had proof, just a feeling in my gut that wouldn't go away. Wrong intelligence, wrong timing, wrong everything. Mac's hands curled into fists. 9 men walked into a pre-positioned kill box because someone made a phone call 6 hours before we went wheels up. Someone told the cartels exactly where we'd be and exactly when. Lena pulled out her tablet, opened an encrypted folder, turned the screen to face Mac. My father spent 24 years building the case. Every operation Kessler touched, every intelligence package that went wrong, every operator who died under suspicious circumstances. She scrolled through files, financial records, communications intercepts, Photographs. Kessler sold the Panama operation for $2 million, used the money to start building his network. By the time my father figured it out, Kessler had his hooks into JSOC, Defense Department, congressional oversight, untouchable. Max stared at the screen. His jaw worked like he was chewing words he couldn't spit out. Nathaniel came to me in '07, Max said quietly, called me out of nowhere, said he needed to talk. I thought I was losing my mind, thought I was hearing ghosts. We met at a diner in Spokane. He showed me some of this. Not all of it, enough to make me believe. He wanted my help. What did you say? Max's silence was answer enough. Lena felt something cold settle in her chest. Not anger. Disappointment was too small a word. Understanding, maybe. The bitter understanding that courage has an expiration date and everyone reaches theirs eventually. I had a family, Max said. Wife, 2 daughters. Nathaniel understood. He didn't push, just asked me to watch the news. Said when the time came, I'd know. The time came in 2008. Lena's voice was ice. Someone put a bullet through his head while he was buying groceries in Idaho Falls. I was 12. I watched him die in a parking lot because he got too close to something Kessler wanted buried. Max's eyes closed. His face twisted like he'd taken a gut shot. After the funeral, I found his journal. Found all of this. Lena gestured at the tablet. Found your name. He wrote that you were the only operator from Panama he still trusted. The only one who might be clean. I'm sorry. The words sounded hollow even as Max spoke them. I should have helped him. Should have doesn't bring him back. Lena cut him off. What brings him back is finishing what he started. What gives those 9 men in Panama justice is burning down Kessler's network and making sure everyone knows what he did. Mac opened his eyes. Kessler's untouchable. More now than ever. He's got a private military company, Sentinel Dynamics. Contracts all over the world. He's making $50 million a year just from government work. You go after him, you're not fighting one man. You're fighting an empire. Good thing I brought siege weapons. Lena pulled up another file. Kessler's in Colombia right now, operating under diplomatic cover. His company has a compound 40 kilometers north of here. Everything my father collected points to Kessler running his entire network from that location. How do you know this? Because I've spent 16 years preparing for this, learning his patterns, infiltrating his networks, getting myself assigned to every operation that might cross his path. Lena's smile was sharp enough to cut. You think it's a coincidence I'm in Colombia right now? I've been maneuvering for this posting for 2 years. Mac leaned back, studied her like she was a tactical problem he was trying to solve. You're planning to hit him. I'm planning to finish it. One way or another, Kessler's network dies in Colombia. That's suicide. Even if you got past his security, even if you got to him, you'd never make it out alive. I don't care about making it out. Lena's voice was flat, final. I care about justice for my father, for those 9 men, for every operator who died because Kessler valued profit over lives. Max stood abruptly, paced to the window, stared out at the Colombian night. Lights from the base scattered across the darkness like fallen stars. Nathaniel pulled me out of hell, he said. I owe him everything. I owed him help when he asked, and I was too afraid to give it. He turned back to face her. But I won't help you die for him. Won't help you throw your life away on a revenge mission that ends with you in a body bag, and Kessler still breathing. Lena stood, walked over to him, looked up into eyes that had seen too much death to want to see more. My father taught me everything, how to shoot, how to move, how to think 3 steps ahead. But you know what the last thing he taught me was? Mac waited. He taught me that some debts can only be paid in blood, that some men are so corrupt, so evil, that the only justice they'll ever face is the kind delivered at the end of a barrel. Her voice didn't waver. He taught me to be a weapon, and weapons don't get to choose whether they fire. They just have to make sure they hit the target. You're not a weapon. You're his daughter. I'm both, and I'm going after Kessler with or without your help. But my father believed you were still one of the good ones. Believed that when it mattered, you'd stand up and do the right thing. Lena pulled out a necklace from under her shirt. A dog tag hung from the chain. Worn, bloodstained. He gave me this the night before he died. Said if anything happened to him, I should find Mac. Said you'd finish it for him. Mac took the dog tag with shaking hands, held it up to the light. N. Thorne, Wraith, 1957 to 2008. Below the standard issue information, scratched in was something sharp. Finish it. Mac's hands closed around the tag. His eyes glistened. Damn you, Nathaniel, he whispered. Damn you for being right about me. He looked at Lena, really looked, saw past the uniform and the attitude to the scared 12-year-old who'd watched her father die. Saw the years of preparation, the singular focus, the daughter who'd turned herself into the weapon her father needed her to be. If we do this, Mac said slowly, we do it smart. No cowboy moves, no improvisation unless absolutely necessary. Your father spent 24 years building this case because he knew rushing in would get him killed. He still got killed, but his work survived. You survived. That's what matters. Mac handed the dog tag back. We need time. Need to see everything he collected. Every file, every lead, every piece of evidence. Then we plan. We prepare. We execute. And if Brennan figures out what we're doing, then we're both court-martialed and spend the rest of our lives in Leavenworth. Max smiled grimly. But at least we'll be in good company. Your father would probably be waiting for us. Lena felt something release in her chest. Not relief, not happiness, just the cold certainty that she wasn't alone anymore. That the weight she'd carried for 16 years was about to shift to 2 sets of shoulders instead of 1. There's something else you need to know, she said. Mac waited. Lena pulled up a file on her tablet. A photograph, recent, high resolution. Admiral Vaughn Kessler stepping out of a black SUV in Bogota. Distinguished, silver-haired, the kind of man who looked like he belonged on recruiting posters. The kind of man who'd gotten 9 Navy SEALs killed for $2 million. This was taken 3 weeks ago, Lena said. Kessler's in Colombia right now. His Sentinel compound is the operational hub for everything. Black operations, arms deals, intelligence brokering. She zoomed in on satellite imagery, guard towers, reinforced bunkers, military-grade surveillance. That's a fortress, Max said. That's our target. Lena met his eyes. And we've got 1 shot to get it right. The door burst open. Commander Brennan stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 MPs. His face was red, angry. Lieutenant Thorne, he barked. You're confined to quarters pending investigation into unauthorized access of classified intelligence. Lena didn't move. I haven't accessed anything unauthorized. The hell you haven't. Sentinel Dynamics is a friendly contractor. Your questioning their operations raised red flags. When I checked the logs, I found you've been pulling satellite imagery of their compound. That's outside your clearance. Counter-narcotics operations require understanding all armed groups in the operational area. I was doing my job. Your job is what I tell you it is. Brennan stepped closer. And right now, your job is to sit in your quarters and think about whether you want a career or a court-martial. Max spoke up. Commander, Lieutenant Thorne was consulting with me on historical operations in the region. Any imagery she accessed was at my request for comparative analysis. Brennan's eyes swiveled to Mac. And who the hell are you? Callum McCready, retired SEAL, consulting contractor. Mac's voice was level, calm. I've got clearance to access historical operational data for training purposes. Lieutenant Thorne was assisting me. Brennan's jaw worked. He was smart enough to know that going after a retired SEAL with contractor status would open cans of worms he didn't want opened. She still questioned mission parameters in a briefing, Brennan said. She asked valid tactical questions, Mac countered. Questions any operator should ask. The two men stared at each other, tension thick enough to cut. Finally, Brennan stepped back. "Lieutenant, you're confined to base until further notice. No access to classified systems. Clear?" "Crystal, sir." Brennan turned and stalked out. The MPs followed. Mac waited 10 seconds, then smiled. "That went well." Lena almost laughed. "He's going to be a problem. He's going to be watching you every second, which means we need to be very careful." Mac's expression hardened. "We give Brennan something else to focus on. Make you look like exactly what he thinks you are. An ambitious junior officer trying to prove herself. And while I'm being the good soldier, I'll be building the infrastructure we need." Mac pulled out his phone. "Your father wasn't the only one who suspected Kessler. Over the years, I've stayed in touch with operators who asked the wrong questions. Most are retired. But if I told them Nathaniel's daughter was ready to finish his mission, some might come out of retirement." "How many?" "Enough." Mac's smile was grim. "Enough to make Kessler bleed." Lena felt hope for the first time in years. Real hope. "When do we start?" she asked. "We already have." Mac headed for the door. "Get some rest, Lieutenant. Tomorrow you're going to be the best damn operator Brennan's ever seen." He left. Lena stood alone in the briefing room, walked to the window, stared out at the Colombian night. Somewhere out there, Admiral Kessler was sleeping peacefully in his fortress, confident, secure. He didn't know yet that Nathaniel Thorne's daughter was coming for him. Didn't know that the debt incurred in Panama was finally coming due. Didn't know that ghosts could have children, and children remembered everything. Lena touched the dog tag around her neck, felt the scratches her father had carved into the metal. "Finish it." "I will, Dad," she whispered to the darkness. "I promise." The night offered no answer, but somewhere in the jungle, a night bird called. Sharp, clear, the kind of sound that means a hunter is moving. The hunt had begun. Dawn came to forward operating base Magdalena like a hammer. Hot, immediate, no mercy. Lena was already on the firing range when the sun cleared the mountains. She'd been there since 0400, running drills her father had taught her. The rifle in her hands wasn't standard issue. It was her father's M40A3, the weapon he'd carried in Panama, the weapon that had saved Mac's life. She settled into position, prone, bipod deployed, eye to scope. The target was 800 meters downrange, wind coming from the northeast at 12 miles per hour. Lena calculated, adjusted, breathed, her father's voice in her head. A wraith doesn't rush. A wraith becomes inevitable. She squeezed the trigger, center mass. She worked the bolt, fired again, headshot, again, headshot, again, headshot, again, headshot. 5 rounds, 5 hits, 800 meters in variable wind. Impressive. Lena didn't startle. She'd heard the footsteps. Commander Brennan walked like a man who wanted everyone to know he was coming. She cleared the weapon, stood, turned to face him. Brennan wasn't alone. The entire team stood behind him. 12 operators, all watching. "Didn't realize we were putting on a show," Lena said. "Every day's a show when you're trying to prove you belong." Brennan walked to the spotting scope, looked downrange. "That's good shooting." "It's adequate shooting. At 800 meters in this wind, it's better than adequate." Brennan straightened. "Gentlemen, Lieutenant Thorne has demonstrated acceptable marksmanship. Let's see if she can maintain that standard under stress." Morrison stepped forward, 6'2", 220, built like a linebacker. "What did you have in mind, Commander?" "Qualification course, full combat load, time limit." Brennan smiled. It wasn't friendly. "Lieutenant Thorne, you've got 10 minutes to complete the close quarters course, the obstacle run, and 300-meter rapid-fire qualification. You miss a single target or exceed time, you're off the deployment roster." The team shifted. This wasn't standard. This was hazing dressed as training. 10 minutes for 3 qualifications that normally took an hour. Impossible for most operators. Suicidal in Colombian heat. What about the rest of the team? Lena asked. The rest of the team has already proven themselves. You haven't. Lena met his eyes, saw the trap. Refuse and she's weak. Fail and she's incompetent. Succeed and he'd move the goalposts. But succeed spectacularly and she'd earn respect. I'll need 5 minutes to prep, she said. You've got 2. Lena walked to the equipment station, started gearing up. Plate carrier, magazines, sidearm, radio, helmet, 60 pounds of equipment in 100-degree heat. Mac appeared at her elbow. This is a setup. Brennan's trying to break you. I know. You don't have to do this. Regulations won't get me closer to Kessler. Proving I'm better than everyone here will. Lena cinched her plate carrier. My father carried twice this weight for 12 kilometers with 3 bullets in him. I can manage 10 minutes. Mac's face softened, pride mixed with worry. Nathaniel would tell you not to let pride get you killed. Nathaniel would tell me to make every shot count. She picked up her rifle. Watch my time. Signal me at 8 minutes if I'm cutting it close. Lena, I've got this, Mac. Trust me. She walked to the starting line. The team had formed up along the course, spectators at an execution. Brennan held a stopwatch. On my mark. 3, 2, 1, go. Lena moved. The close quarters course was a maze of plywood walls and pop-up targets. Friendlies mixed with hostiles. She flowed through it like water. Weapon up. Target acquisition. Double tap. Move. Hostile. Fire. Friendly. Hold. Hostile. Fire. Her father's training had started when she was 8. Airsoft guns in Idaho woods. Then .22 rifles. Then real weapons. Hours every day, thousands of rounds. Muscle memory built through repetition until thinking and doing became the same thing. She cleared the CQB course in 90 seconds. 5 seconds under standard time. No pause. Straight into the obstacle course. Over the wall. Under the wire. Through the tunnel. The combat load tried to drag her down. 60 pounds of dead weight. She ignored it. Pain was just information. Fatigue was just a variable. Her lungs burned. Sweat poured into her eyes. The humidity felt like drowning on dry land. She kept moving. Up the cargo net. Across the balance beam. Sprint to the tire run. Morrison shouted something, probably meant to discourage. The words disappeared into her heartbeat. She hit the final obstacle, the 12-foot wall. Straight vertical. Only a rope hanging down. Lena jumped, caught the rope, pulled, hand over hand. The plate carrier tried to drag her down. She climbed anyway. Over the top, dropped to the other side. 4 minutes 30 elapsed. 5 minutes, 30 remaining. The rifle range was 100 meters away. She ran. Each step felt like concrete. Her legs screamed. Her lungs couldn't pull enough oxygen. She made it. Dropped prone, sighted downrange, 300 meters, 10 targets, 2 rounds each, 20 rounds total. Any miss was failure. Her heart hammered so hard the scope reticle jumped with each beat. Her breathing was ragged, every condition wrong for precision shooting. Lena closed her eyes, counted to 4. Her father's voice. When your body won't cooperate, you make it cooperate. She opened her eyes. Target 1. Breathe. Squeeze. Hit. Breathe. Squeeze. Hit. Target 2. Hit. Hit. Target 3. Hit. Hit. She fell into the rhythm. Each shot a prayer. Each hit a promise kept. Target 4, 5, 6, 7. Her vision tunneled. The world narrowed to the scope. The reticle. The target. Target 8. 9. 1 remaining. 2 rounds left. Her body wanted to quit, wanted to acknowledge that this was insane. She fired anyway. Hit. Last round. Final target. Lena's finger tightened. Smooth. Controlled. The rifle bucked. Center mass. She dropped the magazine, cleared the weapon, stood on legs that barely worked. Mac was running toward her, his face split in a grin. 9 minutes, 42 seconds, he shouted. 20 for 20, perfect score. The team stood in silence, processing. She'd done something that shouldn't be possible. Brennan walked over, his face unreadable. He looked at the targets, at Lena, at the stopwatch. Adequate, he said finally. Morrison laughed. Actually laughed. Adequate? Sir, that's the fastest qual time on this base in 5 years. I said adequate, Lieutenant. Brennan turned back to Lena. You've proven you can shoot and run. Let's see if you can fight. He gestured to the combatives mat, where size and strength usually won. Lieutenant Morrison, you're up. Morrison's smile died. Sir, I outweigh her by 80 pounds. Then it should be a short fight. Morrison couldn't back down without losing face. Lena couldn't refuse without admitting weakness. She walked to the mat. Morrison followed. He looked uncomfortable, fighting a woman in front of the team. No way to win. Beat her, he's a bully. Lose to her, he's humiliated. They squared up, Morrison in a conventional wrestling stance, Lena in something looser, more fluid, the stance her father had taught her. Begin, Brennan said. Morrison came in fast, tried to use his weight, get the takedown. Lena wasn't there when he arrived. She'd moved. Lateral. Used his momentum. Her hands found pressure points her father had shown her, where nerves bundled close to the surface, where applied force created disproportionate pain. Morrison grunted, tried to adjust, came at her again. Lena flowed around him. He was stronger, but she was faster. He was aggressive, but she was precise. Her father's words. Size is an advantage until someone makes it a liability. Morrison threw a heavy right hand. Lena slipped it, got inside his reach. Her elbow found his floating rib, hard enough to make him feel it. He wrapped her up, tried to grapple, get her to the ground where weight mattered. Lena let him think it was working, let him commit. Then she found the angle, the leverage point, used a technique that was half judo, half street fighting, all effective. Morrison went down, hard. Lena flowed into the submission. Armbar, applied gradually, giving him time to tap. He held out for 10 seconds. Then his hands slapped the mat. Tap out. Lena released immediately, stepped back, offered her hand. Morrison stared at it, at her. His face cycled through emotions. Anger, embarrassment, then respect. He took her hand, let her help him up. Where the hell did you learn that? He asked. My father. He believed in being prepared. Your father taught you well. Morrison walked off. The team parted for him. Conversation erupted. Low, intense. Brennan stepped onto the mat. Impressive, Lieutenant. 2 tests passed, but the hardest one is tomorrow. Sir? 0600, live fire exercise. You'll lead the team through a simulated ambush scenario in Sector 3. Full contact. Opposing force will be trying to eliminate your team. Your job is to get everyone out alive. Brennan's smile was cold. 1 casualty, you fail. Simple as that. The teams shifted. Sector 3 was known. Hot zone. The opposing force would be Colombian Special Forces who didn't pull punches. Understood, sir, Lena said. Good, because if you can't handle this, you definitely can't handle what's coming. That night, Lena sat in her quarters studying maps. Sector 3 was a nightmare. Overlapping jungle, ravines, and ambush points. Her father's journal lay open beside the maps. She found the entry from Panama, the one where he described carrying Mac 12 kilometers. The others wanted to leave him, her father had written. Said he was slowing us down. But Mac was family, and you don't leave family behind. Not ever. Some decisions aren't tactical, they're moral. And if you can't live with yourself afterward, you've already died. Lena closed the journal. Her father had died living by those principles. She wasn't going to dishonor that. A knock on her door. Morrison stood in the hallway. Got a minute, LT? She gestured him inside. He sat on the edge of her bunk. Listen, he said. About today, the jokes, the attitude, that was out of line. You were following Brennan's lead. Doesn't make it right. Morrison looked up. I came here with assumptions. Thought you were a diversity hire. But anyone who shoots like you shot, fights like you fought, that's not politics. That's skill. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I'm here to give you a warning. Morrison's face went serious. Tomorrow's exercise, it's a setup. Brennan's got intel that Sector 3 is hot. He's hoping we make contact, hoping you panic or get us into a situation that violates ROE. Why are you telling me this? Because I was in Mosul when my lieutenant got 3 of my brothers killed because he cared more about his career than our lives. Morrison stood. You carried me on that mat even though you could have broken my arm. That tells me something. So I'm giving you the heads up. Tomorrow's a test, but not the test you think. What test is it? It's Brennan finding out if you'll sacrifice your team to save yourself. If you'll make the politically safe decision when the tactically sound decision might cost you your career. Morrison headed for the door. My advice? Don't play his game. Play yours. He left. Lena thought about her father, about the choice he'd made in Panama, about carrying Mac when abandonment would have been smarter. She pulled out her tablet, started planning. Not the route Brennan expected, the smart route, the one that gave them the best chance. Her father had taught her to be a weapon, but also to be a leader. Tomorrow she'd prove she was both. Dawn came too fast. Lena stood at the staging area with her team. Morrison, Webb, Jackson, and Haynes. She briefed them. Patrol route, communications, rules of engagement. Questions? She asked. Webb raised his hand. LT, the route takes us through the ravine network. That's close to hostile territory. It also gives us high ground observation. We'll see them before they see us. Unless they've got observers in the hills. Which is why we're moving before dawn. Be in position before they wake up. Jackson spoke up. What if we make contact? ROE says observe only. ROE says no offensive engagement. Defensive engagement if our lives are threatened is authorized. Lena met each man's eyes. I'm not going to let any of you die because I was worried about following orders. We defend ourselves if necessary, but we're not starting fights. Haynes grinned. I like her. They moved out at 0430. Full darkness, night vision active, radio silence. The jungle was alive around them. Sounds, movement. Lena led from the front. Her father had taught her that leaders who stayed in the rear lost respect. You had to take the same risks you asked others to take. They moved like ghosts, slow, methodical, stopping every 100 meters to listen. An hour in, Morrison signaled contact. 20 meters ahead, 4 men, armed. Lena raised her fist. The team froze. The patrol passed within 15 feet, never knew they were being observed. When they were gone, Lena signaled, continue. They reached the observation point at 0600, a rocky outcrop with clear sightlines. Through binoculars, Lena counted 3 separate compounds, vehicles, weapons, personnel moving between buildings. She signaled Webb. The sniper moved up. Count and catalog, she whispered. Personnel, weapons, vehicles, anything with intelligence value. Webb nodded, started his work. 2 hours of observation. The team rotated through rest and watch. Professional, quiet. Then everything went wrong. The explosion came from the south, loud, close, followed by automatic weapons fire. Lena's radio crackled, panicked voice. Any call sign, we have troops in contact. Sector 3 Charlie, request immediate assistance. She keyed her mic. Command, this is Viper 6. What's your situation? Viper 6, we have civilian contractors under fire. Colombian nationals. 4 wounded. We're pinned down. Morrison looked at Lena. That's 3 clicks from our position. ROE says observe only. Jackson reminded. ROE doesn't cover friendly forces in contact, Webb countered. All eyes turned to Lena. Follow orders and let people die, or disobey and risk court-martial. Her father's voice. Some decisions aren't tactical, they're moral. Pack it up, Lena said. We're moving to assist. LT, Brennan's going to crucify you, Haynes warned. Then I better save enough lives to make it worth it. She checked her weapon. Morrison, point, Webb, rear security, weapons free but controlled fire. We're ending this fight, not starting a war. They moved fast. Combat pace, 3 kilometers in 15 minutes. The gunfire got louder. Lena signaled halt. Advanced alone to observe. The civilians were pinned behind 2 vehicles. The hostile force had them in an L-shaped ambush. Interlocking fields of fire. No escape. It was Panama all over again. Different jungle, same kill box. She crawled back to her team. 20 hostiles, maybe more in reserve. Civilians are trapped. We flank from the east, collapse their line, create an exit for the civilians. That's a lot of bad guys for 5 operators, Morrison said. Good thing we're better. Lena looked at each man. I'm not ordering this, I'm asking. Anyone wants to sit this out, no judgment, but I'm going in. Nobody moved. Guess we're all crazy, LT, Webb said. They split. Lena, Morrison, and Jackson on assault. Webb and Haynes providing overwatch. Lena checked her watch. On my mark. 3, 2, 1. Execute. Webb and Haynes opened up. Precision fire. 2 hostile fighters dropped before they knew they were under attack. Lena's element moved. Fast. Aggressive. She put rounds into targets. Center mass. Professional. Morrison was a hammer. Suppressive fire that made the hostiles rethink their positions. Jackson moved like smoke. Here 1 second, gone the next. The hostile line collapsed. Not because they were outgunned, because they were outfought. Lena reached the civilians. 4 wounded, 2 critical. Morrison, carry this one. Jackson, that one. Moved to the vehicles. They extracted under fire. Webb and Haynes providing cover. Lena bringing up the rear. They made it. Got the wounded loaded. Lena counted heads. 1 civilian missing. Where's the 5th man? She demanded. A wounded Colombian pointed back toward the kill box. Trapped, behind the rock. He's hit bad. Lena looked at Morrison. Get them out of here. I'll get the 5th. Lieutenant, that's suicide. That's an order, Lieutenant. Move. Morrison's jaw clenched. But he followed orders. The vehicles pulled out. Lena was alone. She moved back into the kill box. Every instinct screaming this was insane. That one operator couldn't extract a wounded man from a position crawling with hostiles. But her father had done it, had carried Mac 12 kilometers through worse. She found the civilian behind a boulder. Gut shot, bleeding bad, conscious but fading. American? He gasped. Close enough. Can you walk? Can barely breathe, Lena assessed. The man weighed maybe 160. The extraction point was 400 meters. Under fire. Her father's distance had been 12 kilometers. She could do 400. Lena got the civilian across her shoulders in a fireman's carry. Stood. Her legs nearly buckled. She took a step. Then another. The hostile forces were reorganizing. She had maybe 90 seconds. Bullets snapped through the air. Close. She kept moving, 1 foot in front of the other. Pain was just information, her father's voice. When you can't go any further, you go further anyway. 50 meters, 100. The civilian groaned. His blood soaked her uniform. 200 meters. Her vision started to tunnel. Lack of oxygen. She kept moving. 300 meters, almost there. She could see Morrison and the team. They'd come back, providing cover fire. She stumbled, caught herself, took another step. The finish line was right there. She crossed it. Hands grabbed the civilian, pulled him off her shoulders. Morrison's voice in her ear. You crazy, magnificent bastard. Lena couldn't breathe enough to answer. She collapsed against the vehicle, sucked air. Webb handed her water. She drank. The world came back into focus. All accounted for, she managed. All accounted for, Lieutenant. 5 civilians extracted, 0 casualties. 1 critical but stable thanks to you. Jackson grinned. That was the most insane thing I've ever seen an officer do. They loaded up, moved out, got clear before reinforcements arrived. The ride back was quiet, each man processing what had happened, how close they'd come, how close their lieutenant had come to dying for someone she didn't know. Morrison broke the silence. Brennan's going to lose his mind. Let him, Lena said. I didn't join the Navy to follow orders that get people killed. You sound like someone I used to know. Mac's voice came over the radio. He'd been monitoring. Someone who carried a wounded operator 12 kilometers because leaving people behind wasn't in his vocabulary. Lena keyed her mic. Someone taught me right from wrong. They pulled into base at 1300. Brennan was waiting, his face purple with rage. Admiral Vance stood beside him, JSOC's deputy commander. Lena climbed out, stood at attention. Brennan exploded. What the hell were you thinking? Your orders were observe only, not engage, not rescue civilians, not start a firefight. With respect, sir, friendly forces were in contact. ROE authorizes. I don't give a damn what ROE authorizes. You disobeyed orders, endangered your team, exceeded your authority. Brennan stepped closer. You're done, Lieutenant. Court-martial. I'm going to throw every charge I can find at you. Admiral Vance spoke up, her voice calm, cold. Commander Brennan, a word. They stepped aside. Lena couldn't hear, but she could read body language. Brennan gesturing angrily, Vance standing still. 3 minutes. When they came back, Brennan looked like he'd swallowed glass. Vance addressed the personnel. Lieutenant Thorne acted within her authority when she responded to friendly forces in contact. The civilians she extracted were Colombian intelligence assets working with JSOC. Their survival is a matter of national security. Her decision was not only authorized, it was exemplary. She turned to Lena. The Colombian government has requested to personally commend you and your team. 5 lives saved. 0 American casualties. Textbook leadership. Brennan's face went from purple to white. Vance continued. Lieutenant Thorne, you and your team are commended. Well done. She walked away. Brennan stood in silence. The entire base had witnessed his humiliation. Morrison stepped beside Lena, quietly. Then Webb, Jackson, Haynes, the team forming around their lieutenant. Brennan looked at them, at Lena, pure hatred. This isn't over, he said. No, sir, Lena agreed. It's not. But when it is, I'm still going to be standing, and you're going to be wondering how you got it so wrong. She walked away. Her team followed. That night, Mac found her in the armory. Quite a day, he said. Just another Tuesday. Those civilians you saved, Vance called them intelligence assets. I know. But they weren't, were they? They were contractors. Sentinel Dynamics contractors. Lena looked up. How did you know? Because I checked the casualty reports. Those men work for Kessler. Mac sat across from her. You saved the lives of men who work for the man who killed your father. I saved 5 human beings who were bleeding out. Their employer doesn't change that. Kessler's going to know it was you. Going to know Nathaniel Thorne's daughter just saved his people. Good, Lena said. Let him know. Let him wonder why I'd save his contractors. Let him try to figure out if I'm a threat or just a good soldier. Max smiled slowly. You're playing a bigger game than I realized. My father taught me patience. Taught me to let the enemy think they understand you while you're 3 moves ahead. She resumed cleaning her rifle. Kessler thinks he knows what's coming. He doesn't. And by the time he realizes that, it'll be too late. When do we move on him? Soon. But first, I need him to feel safe. Need him to drop his guard. And then? Lena's smile was cold, sharp, her father's smile. And then I finish it. 3 days passed. Training, operations, the facade of normal duty. Then Mac's phone buzzed, encrypted message. Lena, you need to see this. She took the phone, read the message. Her face went pale. What is it? Mac asked. Brennan, he's not just compromised by Kessler. Her voice was hollow. He's working for someone else, someone higher, someone who wants Kessler alive because they're using his network. Mac grabbed the phone, read the intel, financial transfers, communication logs, all pointing to a conspiracy beyond Kessler. This doesn't make sense, Mac said. Who sent this? Admiral Vance. The name hung between them. Vance, JSOC's deputy commander, the woman who'd protected Lena. She's trying to warn us, Lena said, but doubt crept into her voice. Mac saw it too. Or she's trying to control us. Feed us information that makes us trust her while she's actually... The lights cut out. Emergency backup kicked in. Red glow, alarm klaxons. Base is under attack, Morrison's voice over radio. Multiple hostiles, professional, heading for your location. Lena grabbed her weapon. Mac did the same. The door burst open. Not hostiles, Brennan, with a full security team, weapons drawn. Lieutenant Thorne, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit treason, unauthorized operations against an allied contractor, and compromising national security assets. What the hell are you talking about? Lena demanded. Brennan held up a tablet, security footage, except it showed Lena and Mac in civilian clothes, planning operations against Sentinel. We've had you under surveillance for 2 weeks. Every conversation, every plan, you've been feeding intelligence to Admiral Vance, who's been building a case against Kessler. Except Kessler is a vital U.S. intelligence asset, and you just compromised a decades-long operation. Mac's weapon came up. That's bullshit. Kessler's a traitor who got 9 SEALs killed. Kessler is a controlled asset who's been feeding us intelligence on cartels, foreign governments, terrorist networks for 40 years. Your father found out and threatened to expose him. That's why he had to be eliminated. Lena's world tilted. You're lying. I wish I was. Brennan actually looked sympathetic. Your father was a good operator, but he didn't understand the bigger picture. Sometimes we work with bad people to catch worse people. Kessler's network has prevented terrorist attacks, has given us leverage over foreign governments. His value outweighs his crimes. He murdered 9 SEALs for money. He sacrificed 9 operators to establish credibility with cartels, to get deep enough to gather intelligence that saved thousands of American lives. Brennan stepped closer. I know it's not fair, but it's necessary. Mac's finger tightened on the trigger. You're all corrupt. We're pragmatic. Brennan gestured to his team. Take them. Admiral Vance wants them contained before they compromise Kessler any further. The security team moved in, and that's when Lena understood. Vance hadn't sent the warning intel. Brennan was telling the truth about Vance using her. But someone else was playing a deeper game. Someone who'd been 3 steps ahead all along. Her father. The journal. The evidence. All of it too perfect, like it had been left for her to find. What if Nathaniel Thorne hadn't just been building a case? What if he'd been building a trap? A mechanism that would trigger only when his daughter was ready. Lena looked at Mac, saw the same realization. The contractor who called, she said quietly. The one who gave us intel. Mac's eyes widened. Nathaniel. My father's been alive all along. Morrison's voice crackled through chaos. LT, we've got your 6, on your signal. Lena smiled. Her father had taught her well. Execute, she said. The firefight lasted 30 seconds. Morrison and the team breached through the south wall. Brennan's security scattered. Professional chaos. In the confusion, Lena and Mac disappeared into the Colombian night. They regrouped 2 clicks from base. Morrison, Webb, Jackson, 5 operators, off the grid. "What now, LT?" Morrison asked. Lena pulled out her tablet. "Now we finish what my father started, but we do it our way." She pulled up files, new intelligence, locations, timing. 3 days from now, Kessler's meeting a financier in Medellin, Russian named Volkov. He's bringing his ledger, 40 years of operations, every name, every crime, everything. "How do you know this?" Mac asked. "Because someone just sent me the intel." Lena showed them the message, encrypted, untraceable. "Someone who knows Kessler's movements better than Kessler does." Mac stared at the screen. "You really think Nathaniel's alive?" "I think my father was the best operator this community ever produced, and I think faking his death twice isn't beyond him." Lena met his eyes. "But it doesn't matter. What matters is we have one shot at Kessler, one chance to get the ledger and expose everything." "Brennan will be hunting us," Webb said. "We're fugitives now." "Which means we can't trust official channels, can't call for backup." Lena looked at each man. "This is black, completely off the books. And if we fail, we're all going to Leavenworth. Or worse." Morrison grinned. "Sounds like a party." The next 72 hours were preparation. Mac made calls to old contacts. Weapons arrived. Civilian vehicles. False identification. Lena studied satellite imagery until she could navigate the Medellin estate blindfolded. Morrison appeared on the second day. "I'm coming with you. So are Webb and Jackson." "This isn't official business." "I know, that's why I'm volunteering." He met her eyes. "You saved my life in Sector 4. Now I'm returning the favor." Day 3. They drove to Medellin in 2 vehicles, 5 operators, enough weapons to start a small war. The estate sat on 3 acres. Colonial architecture, high walls, exactly where rich criminals pretended to be legitimate. They parked 2 blocks away, watched through binoculars. Kessler's convoy arrived, 3 SUVs, professional security. "Count 12 hostiles outside," Webb reported, "probably double inside." "Volkov's people?" Lena asked. "Negative, all Kessler's." Mac spoke through radio. "Heat signatures 2nd floor, 3 individuals. Could be Kessler, Volkov, bodyguard, or 3 of Kessler's people waiting for us," Morrison added. Lena studied the estate through her scope. Something felt wrong. The security was too visible, too obvious. Her father's voice. "When the enemy makes it easy, they're making it impossible." "This is a trap," she said. "We knew that," Jackson replied. "No, this is specifically designed to funnel us into a kill zone. Look at the positions. They're not protecting the estate. They're creating a perimeter that forces any assault through the front gate or east wall. Both have clear fields of fire." Max saw it too. "The west wall, it's unguarded. Because it backs onto a ravine. 30-foot drop, no cover. Anyone breaching there would be completely exposed. Unless we use it as an exit instead of entrance." Mac's voice carried grudging respect. "You're thinking backwards," Lena smiled. "I'm thinking the way Kessler isn't expecting. He's prepared for an assault. Multiple operators, heavy weapons, standard tactics. So what do we do?" "I go in alone, through the front door." The radio erupted. Morrison and Webb arguing, Jackson calling her insane, Mac demanding she reconsider. Lena waited for them to finish. "I'm not going in to fight," she said quietly. "I'm going in to talk, to make Kessler think I'm here to deal." "He'll kill you," Morrison protested. "He'll kill me if I'm a threat. But what if an opportunity? What if Nathaniel Thorne's daughter isn't here for revenge? What if she's here to make a deal?" Mac's voice came through with painful understanding. "You're going to offer to work for him. I'm going to offer him certainty, that I'm not a threat, that I can be controlled. And you think he'll believe that?" "I think he'll want to believe it. Want to believe he's won so completely that even Nathaniel's daughter can be corrupted. And while he's believing that, you get Mac out. Silence. Then Mac's voice, confused. Get me out of what? The estate, specifically the basement where they're holding you. I'm not in the estate. You will be, because in 10 minutes, Kessler's people are going to ambush your position and take you alive. Lena's voice was calm, certain. That's the real trap, taking you, using you as leverage, just like they did to my father. Max started to protest, then stopped, started seeing what Lena had already seen. The phone call, he said, the contractor who gave us intel, gave us just enough truth to make us commit. But the real objective was getting you into position to be captured. How do you know? Because it's what I would do. Take the mentor, force the student to choose. Lena checked her weapon. Kessler studied my father for decades, knows that loyalty is our weakness. Morrison spoke up. So what's the play? The play is we give him what he expects, but not how he expects it. Mac, you're going to get grabbed in 5 minutes. Don't fight too hard. Let them take you. They'll bring you to the estate, to the basement. And then I walk in the front door. Tell Kessler I'm here to negotiate for your release. Offer him the one thing he can't refuse, which is me, working for him, becoming the asset my father refused to be. Nathaniel's daughter, fully trained SEAL, with access to classified operations. Lena's smile was cold. I'm the perfect asset, young, capable, positioned, everything he could want. He won't believe you. He won't at first, but I'll make him believe. And while I'm building credibility, you're getting free and locating the ledger. Mac was silent. This is insane. This is the only play we've got that Kessler won't see coming. Morrison broke in. What about us? Extraction. When Max signals, you breach the west wall. Because by that point, all of Kessler's security will be focused on me. You'll have maybe 2 minutes. Get Mac and the ledger out. What about you? I'll be right behind you. The way she said it made clear she wouldn't be. Mac's voice came through tight. Lena, Nathaniel died trying to do this alone. I'm not watching his daughter make the same mistake. I'm not alone. I've got a team. I've got backup. I've got you watching my 6. Her voice softened. But more importantly, I've got something my father didn't have. I've got you alive to finish the mission, if I can't. He died with everything in his head. I die, you've still got the evidence. You can still burn Kessler's network down. That's not good enough. It has to be, because in 3 minutes, Kessler's people are hitting your position. Max swore, creatively, thoroughly. This is a terrible plan, he said finally. It's the only plan we've got. If you die, I'm going to kill you. Get in line. Lena switched channels, addressed Morrison. You know what to do. When Max signals, you move, not before. Understood, LT. She checked her weapons. One sidearm, concealed. That was all she could carry without raising alarm. Everything else was faith and timing. One more thing, Max said. When this is over, when we've got the ledger and Kessler's burning, you better be alive to see it. I'll do my best. Your best better be good enough. 2 minutes later, Morrison reported movement. 3 vehicles, Kessler's security, converging on Mac's position. Mac's voice came through one last time. See you on the other side, kid. Then gunfire. Brief, controlled, silence. Morrison's voice. They've got him, loading into a vehicle, heading to the estate. Lena watched through binoculars, saw the SUV pull through the gate, saw Mac dragged out, hands zip-tied, face bloodied, thrown into the estate. She counted to 60, gave them time to secure him. Then she stood up, walked toward the estate, hands visible, no weapon drawn. The guards saw her coming, weapons came up, radio chatter. Lena stopped at the gate, looked up at the camera. My name is Lieutenant Lena Thorne. I'm here to see Admiral Kessler. Tell him Nathaniel's daughter wants to talk about a deal. 30 seconds of silence. Then the gate opened. She walked through. 6 guards surrounded her immediately, weapons trained. Hands searched her, found the sidearm, took it. This way. They walked her through the estate, colonial architecture, expensive art, trappings of wealth built on bodies. Up the stairs, down a hallway, to a study that looked like a gentleman's club. Leather furniture, oak desk, wall of books. Admiral von Kessler sat behind the desk, 70 years old, silver hair, distinguished, the kind of man who'd sold 9 Navy SEALs for $2 million. Miss Thorne, he said, voice smooth, cultured. I've been expecting you. You've had my friend brought here. I want him released. I'm sure you do, but first let's talk about why you're really here. Kessler gestured to a chair. Please, sit. Lena remained standing. I'm here to make a deal. What kind of deal? The kind where Mac walks out alive and I give you something you've wanted for 40 years. And what might that be? Certainty, closure, the knowledge that Nathaniel Thorne's bloodline is handled, that I'm not a threat, that I can be useful instead of dangerous. Kessler's expression didn't change. You're offering to work for me. I'm offering to be pragmatic. My father spent his life fighting you and died in a parking lot with nothing to show for it. His case never got prosecuted. His evidence never saw daylight. He sacrificed everything and accomplished nothing. Lena let bitterness creep into her voice. I'm not making that mistake. So you're abandoning his crusade? I'm acknowledging reality. You're too powerful, too connected, too entrenched. The system won't touch you. She met his eyes. So if I can't beat you, I might as well join you. Kessler studied her, looking for tells, for deception. What would you bring to such an arrangement? He asked. Access, information. I'm positioned inside the SEAL community. I have clearance, contacts, the ability to observe operations and report anything that might threaten your interests. Lena moved closer. I'm also my father's daughter. I have his files, his contacts, everything he collected over 24 years. Could be valuable to someone who wants to make sure no other operators are following his path. Or you're here to kill me and avenge your father. If I wanted you dead, I'd have come with a rifle, not a proposal. Kessler smiled. Speaking of Mac, let me show you something. He turned a monitor. Security camera footage. The basement. Mac tied to a chair. 2 guards standing over him. Your father's old friend. I've wanted him for years. He was there in Panama, one of only 4 survivors. His testimony could have been problematic. Kessler leaned back. So here's my counteroffer. You give me everything your father collected. Every file, every contact, every piece of evidence. And in return, I let Mac live. You both walk out. Resume your careers. Live your lives. And if I refuse, then Mac dies. Slowly. And you get to watch. Just like you watched your father die. Kessler's voice went cold. Then I kill you. Your bodies disappear. 2 more operators lost to dangerous work. Tragic. Honorable. Forgotten. Lena appeared to consider. Let the silence stretch. I want to see him first. Want to make sure he's alive before I agree. Kessler nodded to a guard. Take her to the basement. Let her say goodbye. Give her 10 minutes to decide if her father's crusade is worth both their lives. They walked her down. Stone steps. Damp air. The basement was older than the rest. Foundation from a different era. Max sat in the chair, face swollen, blood on his shirt. He looked up when Lena entered. Don't do it, he said immediately. Don't give him anything. Let me die. Finish the mission. Shut up, Mac. Lena knelt beside him. The guards stayed by the door, watching. She put her mouth close to his ear, whispered so quietly the guards couldn't hear. Ledger. Where? Mac's eyes flicked toward the ceiling. 2nd floor. Back office. How long? He blinked twice. 2 minutes to get there. Lena stood. addressed the guards. I need to think. Can I have privacy? No. Then can you at least let me cut his hands free? He's not going anywhere. The guards looked at each other, shrugged. One tossed her a knife. Lena caught it, moved behind Mac, cut the zip ties, and palmed a small device into his hand. Emergency beacon. Morrison and the team would see the signal, know it was time to breach. She moved back around, looked at Mac. His hands were free, but he kept them behind his back, playing the role. I'm sorry, she said loud enough for the guards. I can't let you die for my father's vendetta. Lena, don't. She walked toward the stairs. The guards moved to follow. Mac's hand found the beacon, activated it. 30 seconds later, the west wall exploded. Not literally, but the breach charge Morrison used made it sound like the world was ending. The guards spun toward the sound, weapons up, confused. Mac moved. Free hands became weapons. He took the first guard's sidearm, put 2 rounds in him before the body hit the ground. The second guard turned. Too slow. Mac put him down. Lena was already moving, back up the stairs, toward the study where Kessler waited. She heard Morrison and the team breaching. Gunfire, controlled, professional. She reached the study. The door was locked. She kicked it. Once, twice. The old wood splintered. Kessler stood by the window, gun in hand, pointed at her. I underestimated you, he said. Everyone does. Your father made the same play, pretended to surrender, then tried to take me when my guard was down. Kessler's smile was sad. It didn't work for him either. My father was alone. I'm not. Your team is occupied. My security is well trained. Even if they make it up here, you'll be dead. Maybe, but you'll still be exposed. The ledger will still go public. Your network will still burn. The ledger is encrypted, biometrically locked. Only I can access it. Kessler moved toward the desk. Which means if I die, it dies with me. All that evidence, all your father's work, gone. Unless I take you alive. You won't. Kessler's hand moved, not toward Lena, toward a device on the desk. Dead man's switch. Lena saw the angle, saw the trap. Her father had been in this exact position, had died trying to take Kessler alive. She wasn't her father. She wasn't trying to arrest him or bring him to trial. She was here to finish it. Her hand moved to her boot, the knife she'd used to cut Mac's bonds, the blade she'd kept hidden. Kessler saw the movement, started to turn the gun toward her. Lena threw. The knife traveled 8 feet in less than a second. Her father had taught her this. 1,000 throws in Idaho woods, 1,000 repetitions until the blade became an extension of her will. It caught Kessler in the shoulder. Not a kill shot, but enough. His hand spasmed. The gun fell. He staggered backward. Lena was on him before he could recover. Drove him against the wall, her forearm across his throat. Where's the ledger? Kessler smiled through the pain, blood on his teeth. Encrypted, biometric lock. You'll never... I don't need to decrypt it. I just need to upload it. Let people smarter than me crack it. Lena pressed harder. Where is it? Kessler's eyes went to the desk, bottom drawer. Lena maintained pressure while she opened the drawer, found the device, small, innocuous. 40 years of crimes compressed into something that fit in her hand. Mac burst through the door, weapon up, saw the situation, lowered his rifle. You good? I'm good. The team? Secured the ground floor. Morrison's holding the perimeter. We've got maybe 3 minutes before backup arrives. Lena looked at Kessler, the man who'd killed her father, who'd sold 9 seals. You should kill me, Kessler said. It's what Nathaniel would have done. My father tried to be better than you, tried to do this the right way. It got him killed. Lena's voice was ice. But I'm not going to kill you, because death is too easy, too quick. She pulled out her phone, started uploading the ledger to encrypted servers. Multiple backups. places Kessler's people would never find. I'm going to let you live long enough to see everything you built burn down, every asset exposed, every operation compromised, every person you've corrupted going to prison. The upload hit 50%, 70, 90. You're going to die knowing that Nathaniel Thorne's daughter finished what he started, that all your power wasn't enough to stop one SEAL's legacy. 100%. Upload complete. Lena released Kessler. He collapsed against the wall, clutching his shoulder, the fight gone. Mac, we need to move. They ran. Through the hallway, down the stairs. Morrison and the team had cleared a path. Bodies of Kessler's security littered the floor. Webb waited at the west wall, the breach point, the ravine below. Ropes anchored, 30-foot drop, but we've got it covered. One by one they descended, Mac first, then Jackson, Morrison, Webb. Lena went last. She looked back at the estate, saw Kessler in the window of the study, watching her escape. She descended into darkness. The team regrouped at the extraction point. 2 vehicles, civilian plates. They drove in silence, each processing what had happened. The violence, the close calls, the success. Mac broke the silence. You uploaded the ledger? Uploaded and backed up. Sent to Admiral Vance, to congressional oversight, to 3 journalists. Lena stared out the window. By morning, it'll be everywhere. Kessler's network won't survive the sunrise. And Kessler left him alive, figured watching his empire burn was worse than a bullet. Mac was quiet. Nathaniel would be proud. My father's dead, but his mission lives because of you. They crossed the border back into government territory 2 hours later, ditched the civilian vehicles, changed into uniforms, became operators again. Admiral Vance was waiting at the base. She stood in the command center, face unreadable. Lieutenant Thorne, Commander McCready, my office, now. They followed, closed the door, waited for the hammer to fall. Vance sat down, pulled up her tablet. I received a very interesting data dump this morning. Approximately 12,000 files documenting illegal operations spanning 4 decades, all pointing to Admiral Von Kessler as the architect of a criminal conspiracy. Yes, ma'am, Lena said. I also received reports of a firefight at an estate in Medellin. 23 security contractors dead. Kessler himself wounded. I wouldn't know anything about that, ma'am. Vance almost smiled. I'm sure you wouldn't. Just like I'm sure you have no idea how the ledger ended up in my inbox. Must have been a whistleblower, someone with a conscience. Must have been. Vance stood, walked to the window. Here's what's going to happen. The data dump will be investigated, thoroughly, by people I trust. The evidence will be verified. Prosecutions will follow. And us? You were here the entire time, running training exercises, never left Colombian soil. Have witnesses to prove it. Vance turned back. As for the firefight, that was a cartel dispute. Sentinel Dynamics got caught in the crossfire. Tragic, but not our problem. And Kessler? Kessler didn't make it to the hospital. Vance's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. Update from Medellin. Vehicle transporting him was ambushed en route. 3 shooters. Professional. He took 2 rounds to the head, dead before the ambulance stopped. Mac and Lena exchanged glances. Cartel retaliation? Mac asked. That's what the report will say. Vance closed her tablet. But between us, I'd say someone in his network decided that a dead Kessler was safer than one who might talk to reduce his sentence. She looked at Lena. Your father spent 24 years trying to bring Kessler to trial. In the end, Kessler's own people delivered justice faster than any courtroom could. Lena felt nothing. No satisfaction, no relief, just emptiness where rage had lived for 16 years. At least he can't hurt anyone else, she said quietly. No, Vance agreed. He can't. Vance continued. Your father was a good man, one of the best I ever served with. When he came to me in 2007 asking for help investigating Kessler, I should have listened, should have backed him. Instead, I told him to stand down. Vance's voice hardened. I failed your father. I won't fail you. Whatever you need to finish this, wherever the evidence leads, you have my complete support. Thank you, ma'am. Don't thank me. Just make sure when this is over, every person who enabled Kessler faces justice. Every name in that ledger. No mercy. That's the plan. Vance nodded. Dismiss them. Mac and Lena walked out into the Colombian night. The base was quiet, unaware the world had shifted. What now? Mac asked. Now we wait. Let the investigators work. Let the evidence speak. Lena looked up at the stars. And when they ask me to testify, I'll tell them everything. About Panama, about my father, about 16 years. And after that? After that, I don't know. Never thought past finishing the mission. Mac smiled. Your father used to say the same thing. Could never see past the objective. He put a hand on her shoulder. But here's what I know. You're 28 years old. You've got your whole career ahead. You're one of the best operators I've ever seen. And you just brought down a corruption network that's been killing SEALs since before you were born. Your point? My point is that you get to choose what comes next. Get to decide if you want to keep being the weapon your father made you, or if you want to be something else, something more. Lena thought about that, about the years of training, the singular focus, the life built around revenge and justice. I think, she said slowly, I'd like to figure out who Lena Thorne is when she's not trying to kill the man who killed her father. That's a good start. 8 months later, Lena stood at Arlington National Cemetery. Spring morning, cherry blossoms blooming, 9 headstones, fresh, white marble. The Panama SEALs who'd been buried under lies, finally laid to rest with honor. The Secretary of the Navy spoke. Admiral Vance presented medals to the families. The Marine Corps band played. Full military honors for men who'd been dead for 41 years. Max stood beside Lena in dress blues, both rigid with ceremony, both holding emotions in check the way operators learn to do. When the ceremony ended, families approached Lena, thanked her. Some cried, some just held her hand, all carrying grief that had never been allowed to heal. My son can finally rest, one mother said. She was 93, frail, but her eyes were clear. Thank you for giving him back his honor. Lena didn't trust herself to speak, just nodded. When the families left, she walked to a different part of the cemetery, a newer section, a headstone placed 3 weeks ago. Nathaniel James Thorne, Lieutenant, United States Navy SEAL Team 6, 1957 to 2008. Wraith mission complete. Mac joined her. They stood in silence. He'd say you did good, Mac said finally. He'd say I took too long, that I should have been faster, smarter. That's because he was a perfectionist. But he'd also say you finished what he couldn't, that you brought down a network he spent his life fighting, that you gave 9 men their honor back. Lena touched the headstone, cold marble, final. I miss him, Mac, every day, even after all these years. I know, I miss him too. Miss the operator he was before Panama. Mac put a hand on her shoulder. But he lives on, in you, in the way you lead, in the way you fight, in the way you finished his mission. What do I do now that the mission's over? You live. You find purpose beyond revenge. You become the operator and the person you want to be, instead of the weapon your father needed you to be. Lena nodded, pulled an envelope from her pocket. Orders, new assignment. They're standing up a task force, investigating military corruption, making sure what happened with Kessler never happens again. She handed the orders to Mac. They want me to lead it. Want someone who understands how deep the rot can go. Mac read the orders, smiled. Task Force 9, nice touch. Figured it was appropriate. 9 men in Panama, 9 reasons to make sure this never happens again. You going to accept? I think I am. Think my father would want his mission to continue. Not just exposing one corrupt admiral, but fixing the system that let him get away with it for 40 years. You'll need operators, people you can trust. I was hoping you'd come out of retirement. Help me build something that lasts. Mac looked at the headstone, at Nathaniel's name carved in stone. Your father asked me the same thing in 2007. I said no. Biggest regret of my life. He met Lena's eyes. I'm not making that mistake twice. I'm in. They stood together as the sun climbed higher. Two operators, two generations, united by a mission that had started in a Panama jungle 41 years ago and ended in a Colombian estate 8 months past. But not finished, never finished. Because corruption didn't die with Kessler. It just found new faces, new names. Task Force 9 would hunt it, root it out, make sure that operators who served with honor didn't die because someone valued profit over lives. Lena took one last look at her father's grave. Mission complete, Dad. Just like you asked. She saluted, sharp, precise, the kind of salute that meant something. Then she turned and walked away. Mac beside her, the future ahead. Behind them, carved in stone, two words caught the morning light. Wraith. Mission complete. But the mission was never truly complete. It just changed forms, evolved, became something bigger than one man's crusade. It became a legacy. And legacies lived forever.